Don't worry about it. It's okay. Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. Please take your seats. We're going to begin in 2 minutes. 2-minute warning. Check it out. Thanks. Oh, no. Look, here they are. I'll give it to you right now.
No, it's okay.
Look, here they are. Coffey. Karen.
Karen's next, okay.
Megan. Danielle.
Megan in front of Danielle. He's already got her right here. Okay, continue.
Nyla.
Oh, he just gave a 2-minute warning.
Nyla.
She's ready. I'll get it.
And,
Okay,
sure.
then we got Jim is here.
Okay, great. Good deal. Well, your show paid more attention than they do in Tiger Stadium, I can tell you that. Great crowd, but then again, cocktails haven't started yet, so. Good evening, everyone. My name is Dan Bornay, and it's a real privilege for me to be here to welcome you to the 2023 LSU Athletics Hall of Fame induction ceremony. Tonight, we're going to celebrate the achievements of 7 of the most accomplished individuals in the history of LSU athletics. We're here to celebrate our past because our past defines who we are now. And the victories that we celebrate today and those that we will celebrate tomorrow are because of the people who walked before us, who played before us, who strove and sweat before us. And tonight we will honor the best of the best. First of all, let me recognize some Hall of Famers who are here tonight. I ask you to please stand when I call out your name. And if I miss someone, please find Leanne or one of our associates and we'll introduce you as well. I think we missed Tyler LaFosse and George Bevan last year, but we made up. We finally got them there near the end. Let's welcome these champions. Kim Carson, Harry Carpenter, Ashley Claire Kearney-Thigpen, Meredith Duncan, Kevin Falk, DeAndre Hill, Laura Hinton, Susan Jackson, Brady James, Bert Jones, Jenny Lidback, Doug Morrow, Lloyd Peaver, Eric Reed, Danny Reese, Sandra Thompson, and Lloyd Wills. Welcome home. These individuals here created this lasting memory that we have of our Tiger athletic programs, and they have represented the university with pride throughout their lives, beginning as student athletes and on through the rest of their lives. We thank them for being with us tonight. And now let's meet the members of the 2023 LSU Athletics Hall of Fame induction class. One at a time, I will call each of our inductees to come forward as Director of Athletics, Scott Woodward, presents your Hall of Fame rings. Scott, come on up. Al Coffey, football and track and field. They're working on a dinner reservation is what they're doing. Karen Bonson, women's golf coach. Megan Falcon, women's tennis. There you go, Megan. See you later. They're all coming back, all right? That's what I meant. Don't y'all read anything into that. Danielle Mitchell, women's track and field. Congratulations, Nyla. Nyla Shepherd Moore, volleyball, women's basketball. You know who that is, huh? Yeah. In addition to these athletes who are inductees, we have two individuals who are being recognized with distinguished honor by the Athletics Hall of Fame. Jim Hawthorne, broadcasting. Sam Nader, football operations.
That's a rarity. He usually tells me what to do.
Thank you very much, Sam Nader, and thank you, Scott Woodward, ladies and gentlemen, our Director of Athletics. The ring that these athletes and individuals have received signifies membership among the elite individuals in the history of LSU sports. Now think about it. We'll hear more from each of them later, but what it means is that there are 170 of these athletes that have been inducted into this Athletics Hall of Fame out of the thousands of athletes that have participated in all sports at LSU since we began intercollegiate competition in 1893. So this is a really select group of Tigers. Let's talk for a minute about the criteria for being voted into the Hall of Fame. There are two categories in which an individual can be named to the Hall of Fame. Former student athletes is one category, and the other category is coaches and administrators. For former student athletes to be eligible, a person must have earned one or more letters in a varsity sport at LSU, must have gained national distinction through superlative performance, and must have established a personal reputation for character and for citizenship, which reflects favorably upon the university. With the exception of the varsity letter requirement, the same criteria apply to coaches and to administrators seeking election to the Hall of Fame. And there's one other condition that sets LSU's Hall of Fame apart from most others. To be elected to the LSU Athletics Hall of Fame, a person must have earned his or her college degree. That's what makes the people that we honor tonight especially exceptional as the very best student athletes, coaches, and administrators in the history of Louisiana State University. And this year, for the first time, we have recognized individuals with distinguished honor. In order for a former LSU student athlete or coach administrator to be recognized with distinguished honor, the following criteria must be met. First, must have contributed to the advancement and growth of sport at LSU. And second, laid a path or helped advance opportunities for LSU's student athletes. Before we meet our nearest Hall of Fame inductees again, let me thank some groups that have made this possible tonight. Thanks to the LSU Athletics Council, the Hall of Fame Selection Committee, the National L Club, the LSU Creative Team, and the athletic department staff for supporting the efforts of tonight's ceremony and induction. Now let's meet the newest members of the LSU Athletic Hall of Fame. They will be interviewed by Victor Howell. Stage, television, screen, social media, sports, news, presence. Victor Howell will join our inductees on the stage and conduct interviews. Our first inductee was a dual sport athlete participating in track and field and on the football team. Ladies and gentlemen, Al Coffey.
Al Coffey was ranked in the Track and Field News World Top 20 on 13 occasions from 1969 through 1972 in the 100-yard dash, the 220-yard dash, the 440-yard dash, the 440-yard relay, the 880-yard relay, and the mile relay. He earned All-America recognition a total of 18 times from Track and Field News, the NCAA, and the U.S. Track and Field Federation. A native of Baton Rouge, Coffey was a 3-time captain of the LSU Track and Field squad, and he led the Tigers to mile relay national championships in 1969 and 1972. He was voted the SEC's most outstanding performer in 1970, and he was a 7-time SEC champion. Coffey also played wide receiver for the LSU football team, and he helped lead the Tigers to the 1970 SEC championship and 2 Orange Bowl appearances. Coffey served in the Louisiana National Guard for 6 years, and he volunteered with the Louisiana State Police to help rescue individuals trapped in New Orleans in the aftermath of Hurricane Katrina. In 2022, he was the keynote speaker at the Diversity and Race Youth Symposium at Cane View School in Port Allen, Louisiana. LSU welcomes Al Coffey into the Athletics Hall of Fame.
Presenting Al with his Hall of Fame plaque this evening is another Hall of Famer, former track and field star, Lloyd Wills.
Good evening, everybody. I will ask Mr. Lloyd to stay up here because he's a big part of the story as you find out. So I'm going to stand for this one because I want him to be a part of this as well. Mr. Coffey, first and foremost, congratulations.
Thank you.
This is quite an honor to get to celebrate with you. You and I.
Lloyd.
That's why I asked him to stay, and we're going to let everybody hear that story in just a second. When you and I talked earlier this week, you said you and your brother used to ride bikes by LSU. Is that why it was a no-brainer you were going to be a Tiger?
He's here. I think it's my twin brother.
Oh, he is right there. I see he's got a hand up right there.
Hey, that's him. Beautiful wife, Elaine, is with him. They came from South North Carolina.
Well, welcome. We're glad you're here to celebrate.
And hey, Grady, can you believe this? We were kids. We rode our bikes all over this campus. And we went get French fries at McDonald's. And I couldn't have done it without my real twin brother. He had got the ring, I had the brawn.
Well, I know on your plaque, and as we heard in the video, that you're a two-sport star with football and track and field. But you told me football, when you were at LSU, was sort of a side gig. You said the way they played, it was 3 yards and a cloud of dust, and you were speed. You just kind of did it because you had to play everything.
Well, football, I was a little bitty kid, and some of the big guys looked out for me. Thank goodness.
with the speed they play in today's game, you'd rather play today's game,
I'd
huh?
rather play today.
Yeah,
yes.
play wide open. Well, certainly you made an incredible mark with what you did at your LSU career in track. And you told me when it was time to run, you ran scared, like somebody was always going to get you. Was that your-
Somebody was all. I think everybody runs scared, whether they use that term or not. I don't know, but I know one thing: you don't come to Baton Rouge and beat me.
And many tried, and many did not beat you. That
Right,
is for sure.
Thank God I never had to run against Lloyd because he could have probably beat me.
Well, the reason I asked Lloyd to stay is because when you and I talked, just so everyone understands, and let you behind the curtain a little bit, I had a chance to talk to all of our inductees, and Mr. Coffey and I probably talked 20, 25 minutes, and I'd say probably 18 to 20 minutes of the conversation was about this man right here. And I think this is, without a knock to anybody being inducted tonight in any of the Hall of Fames I've done, this might be the best story because I know what it means to you and the way you shared it. And I want you to share with everybody here tonight the influence that Lloyd Wills had on you.
Well, first of all, I have to thank. Where's Keith? Hey, Keith. And Keith Cowley. If it wasn't for him, he knows more about LSU and Swarthy. It all was put together. He knows what I did when I was a little kid. And he is fantastic at what he does. Somebody needs to hire that guy because he could do anything. And he's very, very good and very sweet. Him and Jeanette. And look, this is the thank you note from the class of the Lloyd and I spoke to this class of journalist students in the 4th grade. Yep. And they sent me the thank you note. And I think they may even have somebody here, like a principal of the school. But
Oh, look, up there, just waving right there.
hey, this is my most precious, I would say it's the best award I've ever received. And it was the most fun I had in sports. Lloyd was there with, he was live, and I was by Zoom. But one of the kids wrote that y'all let me get out the sunshine a little bit.
But I think that's one of the keys is that you're still speaking to classes, 4th graders. I think y'all spent about 90 minutes, I understand, right?
Well,
but you're still doing it with a friend of over 50 years that you were with at LSU.
You know, one of the questions this kid asked was that y'all are such good friends, how come you don't hang out? And I said, because we went to war together. And Lloyd, I watched him receive his award and be put in the Hall of Fame, and he credited me with influencing him. And that is my claim to fame. Lloyd was great. Lloyd gave us instant credibility. We did not any longer did we look like Ku Klux Klan was showing up. And Lloyd, he never talked very much, but he didn't have to. Everybody upped their game when Lloyd walked out there. Everybody got better. And that's very rare to have somebody that can make that much difference. We were immediately competitive. And we didn't care about our times and all that championship. We cared about scoring the most points we could for the team. And they responded to it. We figured if we got out there and earned our spot, they would too. And it happened that way because of Lloyd. And Lloyd, I like to say how brave it was for Lloyd to be the first and only black man coming into a southern university like that. And of course, everybody was very nice, I think. Oh, yeah.
And that is actually why I asked you to stay. And I know this was not scripted. You did not know I was going to ask you. But literally, the first 10 minutes of our phone conversation had nothing to do with his accolades. It was all about your friendship. And if we could all have a friendship of 50 plus years of the friendship you all have, he talked about your influence, your courage coming to the school. And as he told me, we didn't want to hang out with boys. I wanted to hang out with men. So I hung out with Lloyd. So since I have you here, you're going to do it better than me, and you're going to do it better than that video. I would like you, if you don't mind, to share his influence with you because you are such a big influence of him.
Well, I met Al in high school. I was a junior, he was a senior. And for, not to sound racist, but I thought he was black for the longest. Because I'd heard about this fast kid at Robert E. Lee High. I said, well, things are changing. There's a black at Robert E. Lee High. And we met up in the Meet of Champions in New Orleans. And it was kind of crazy because all of a sudden the wind started blowing and paper started flying all over the place in the stadium. And the gun sounded for the 220-yard dash. And here comes this blonde kid flying, hair flowing. I thought the wind had picked him up. And I said, that's got to be Al Coffey. And it was. And after that, we got to be good friends. I think we went to, California together or something? And somewhere.
I know one thing. We were the last two men to run on the mile relay. We didn't care who was first or second. We knew that we would have to do our thing to win.
Right, right.
I handed that stick to this guy. I ran third leg, he ran fourth leg, and I would hand it to him. And I'm looking in his face just like I did back then. And I handed that stick out there, and I could not wait to lay down.
Oh. But we got to be good friends, and Al said, I'm going to LSU. And he said, next year I want you to come. And I said, my choice was really between Tennessee and LSU.
He could have gone anywhere.
And I said, well, Al, already have a friend at LSU, so that kind of put the thumb on the scale, and I decided to go to LSU.
I think it stayed that way for 3 or 4 years at the time. Lloyd won that 440-yard dash twice in the SEC. He won the SEC championship twice, 2 years in a row. I had won it, the year before that. Before. But this is one thing. The one thing I'd like to say is that Lloyd and I are probably the only two inductees into the Hall of Fame that actually ran on the same team and competed on the same team.
Well, you are certainly deserving. It's our honor to celebrate your night tonight. And for everybody here who's not an athlete, if we could all find a friendship like you have, we'll all be Hall of Famers, and we congratulate you, and I thank you for sharing the story. Ladies and gentlemen, Al Coffey.
Thank you, Al and Lloyd. Great stories. Our next inductee, the first recruit of the fledgling LSU women's golf program. And upon her graduation, she was named the Tigers' women's head golf coach. And the rest is LSU athletics history. Ladies and gentlemen, Karen Bonson.
A native of Mobile, Alabama, Karen Bonson was the first recruit of the LSU women's golf program. And upon her graduation in 1984, she was named the Tigers' head coach, a position she held for 34 years. Her LSU teams finished in the top 10 of the NCAA championships on 7 occasions, including third-place national finishes in 2011 and 2012. She coached the NCAA individual champion in 2011 as freshman Austin Ernst won the title. Bonson developed numerous All-Americans during her career, including 2 other members of the LSU Athletics Hall of Fame, Jenny Lidback and Meredith Duncan. Bonson was inducted into the Women's Golf Coaches Hall of Fame in 2009 and into the Alabama Sports Hall of Fame earlier this year. She remains involved in community golf events, including the annual President's Cup and the local Folds of Honor event both held at the University Club in Baton Rouge. LSU welcomes Karen Bonson into the Athletics Hall of Fame.
Presenting Karen with her plaque this evening, former golfer, Hall of Famer, Jenny Lidback. Jenny.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
So, how does somebody from Mobile, Alabama, become, all right, give it up, Mobile.
Yeah.
All right. Obviously, they didn't hit any traffic in the tunnel coming this way and made it there on time.
Yeah.
How does somebody from Mobile, when you have opportunities in Alabama, Florida, Georgia, maybe to go to any other schools in your area with a proven program, become the very first recruit, and what made you come here to an unproven program?
Well, I was definitely a traitor for sure because I was recruited by Alabama, Auburn, and Georgia, and a few other schools. But I just wanted to do something different, and I came over here and I saw they were just starting a program. In fact, when I came over to visit the school, the men's golf coach took me around, and the guys, so that was kind of nice. I got to know the guys on the golf team. There were no other girls on the team to take me around because I was the first. And so that was pretty interesting. But I just saw what LSU was doing, and I just thought it was really interesting to be part of something new like that and be a starter of that. And also, I thought if I went to Alabama and Auburn or something like that, I might have too much fun with my friends, So
you have a playing career here, and then you wind up staying, and then you become a long-time coach here. So what was it that you learned as a player in a new program that had you want to stay and develop what you were a big part of starting?
Right. Well, Mary Railing was the first coach we had here, and her dad was Conrad Railing, who was the legendary coach at University of Alabama. But then Buddy Alexander, he's here tonight. Buddy, thank you so much for being here. He was my coach, and he coached the men and women when he first got here. So he would get out of the van, with the guys and then get right into a van with us and go on trips. So he had a rough go, but he put up with all of us girls, and I think he taught me so much, but I think we taught him a few things about being around girls and stuff like that, dealing with that. But it was just tremendous for me. It really was.
And then obviously as you start to build the program and you recruit, golf is very unique in that it's got such an international flair. So what was it like for you as a now young coach building this program where you're going to get athletes internationally selling the purple and gold in Baton Rouge to get them to come here?
Well, golf is a world, sport, and it was crazy, So I did end up getting to know people back then through internet and traveling, and getting to know them. We didn't get to go out of the country back then. We do now. But I just knew that we needed to have, great players and all, so it was great. And once they got here, we make them family. They're part of our family here at LSU. And that's a tribute, obviously, because I'm going to tell you, and I want them to stand up. I have 25 of my former players here tonight. And I'm just going to tell you, I want you all to please stand up. Because,
That's awesome.
yes. The reason I'm sitting here and these accolades I've received, which I'm very blessed, but it's about you girls and the girls I've gotten to coach and the relationships we formed. And it touched my heart so much that y'all wanted to be here. And I didn't expect all that, so I really appreciate that. But y'all know I always said, y'all become part of my family. And I always believed in being a role model. That's what I've strived for. I wanted to show that you could be a woman and be very successful in your career, be a wife and a mother, and do all those things and succeed. And it's not easy. It's a crazy balancing life. And I look out at my young ladies that are here tonight, and gosh, so many of them are very successful in their careers and in life. They're beautiful, wives and beautiful mothers too, and that they're here. That just means so much to me.
Yes, thank you all very much for being here to support her, and congratulations on everything that you're doing.
Yeah.
Before I let you go, you talk about the players coming in and becoming family. And everybody sticking together and the relationships they made.
Yep.
You came to LSU as a single woman. You left LSU as a married woman. Was your biggest accomplishment meeting your husband, who also has an LSU tie?
Yeah.
That's a nice little connection.
That kind of worked out
That
pretty
worked
good.
out very well. Yes, indeed.
We were students here. Bonson's my husband, and he worked for LSU for 40 years. But he came over. He was a manager, I think, for the basketball team, and I was out with the golfers. He was out with the basketball guys, and we were met up and ended up meeting in Broussard cafeteria, having lunch a lot. And so next thing you know, we're engaged and get married. And Buddy asked me to be the women's coach. We got married, got back from my honeymoon, and had my first team meeting ever as a coach. And some of the girls that were on that team were on my team, and then I had to become their coach. So that was pretty interesting.
Well, on a personal note, I was a December graduate at LSU, and one of my first sports assignments when I started, I got to go to Fairwood Country Club, covering the LSU tournament during one of the weekends of March Madness. I've known you that long, and it's an honor for me to sit here with you tonight and share this with you. Congratulations.
Thank you so much, Victor, and appreciate it.
Ladies and gentlemen, Coach Karen Bonson.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Karen. Watch those steps, a little bit wicked. Our next inductee is the first women's tennis athlete to be inducted into the LSU Sports Hall of Fame. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome a trailblazer, Megan Falcon.
Megan Falcon, a product of Alameda, California, was a three-time singles All-American at LSU from 2007 through 2009. She was an NCAA tournament singles semifinalist in 2007, and she achieved Intercollegiate Tennis Association national rankings of #1 in singles and #10 in doubles. The 2007 SEC Player of the Year, Falcon was a three-time All-SEC selection, and she was named Louisiana Player of the Year on 3 occasions. She played in the Pan American Games for Team USA, and she was a finalist for the Honda Award, given annually to the nation's most outstanding female collegiate athlete. Falcon, a 2009 LSU graduate in History and International Studies, works as the Women's Tennis Associate Head Coach at Auburn, and she was named in 2022 the ITA Southwest Regional Assistant Coach of the Year. LSU welcomes Megan Falcon into the Athletics Hall of Fame.
And presenting Megan with her Hall of Fame plaque this evening is her uncle, Joseph Bonadonna. Joe, think about the X. Yeah. By the X. Picture? Great. Good. Thank you.
Congratulations. And since your award is so recent, too, congratulations on your coaching award at Auburn this year.
Thank you very much.
If you read in the media guide, it's going to say that you're from California, technically, but I know you had some as they say down in the parish, some back-of-town connections for LSU. Anybody from Donaldsonville? I heard you laugh. You hear me? Now, you tell me on your bingo card if you had somebody sit up here saying back-of-town, right? That wasn't happening. How was the Donaldsonville connection that got you to LSU?
So both maternal and paternal sides of the family are from Donaldsonville. But my paternal side, sorry, I'm so nervous.
Don't be nervous. Don't be nervous at all. I'm on the other side of the net. You're beating me 5-love in the second set.
Yeah.
You're about to crush it. Just crush it.
I wish it was that easy.
Oh, get me on a tennis court. It is. It'll be 6-love, 6-love. No problem.
So both sides from Donaldsonville. My mom's side moved to California. And sorry, I'm so nervous.
Don't worry about it. It's okay. So you knew, even in California, though, you knew all about LSU because you had
I grew up in a huge LSU fan.
Yeah.
My mom's brother, Morris, played baseball for Skip in 80 to 84. So always grew up kind of wanting to come to LSU.
So you wanted to come to LSU. You had the family ties there. But also when you and I talked on the phone, you were telling me about the competitive nature of the SEC. How did that attract you to want to come to Baton Rouge knowing what you were going to face?
Well, just being, the SEC is definitely in tennis, and I think across the board, the toughest conference in collegiate athletics. So I thought it would be the best for me progressing my tennis career.
I want you to, so you can relax because I know you're nervous. I want you to share. It's okay, because this is your story and you'll have fun. When you talk about skyrocketing up the rankings, I would like you, if you don't mind, I want you to share the story, how from California to come to Baton Rouge But then you had to go play a tournament at the Riviera Country Club out in California. And you played a little longer in that tournament than most people, and then how that affected your rankings. Do you mind sharing that story?
Yeah, so Lisa, my assistant coach from college, is actually here, and so is Tony. But Lisa and I think we were there for 10 days. So that was my first collegiate experience competing, and I got put in the pre-qualifying. So that's like the lowest part that you can be in. And I had to play 6 matches just to make it to the main draw, which is the best 32 players in the country. So I think that trip, I must have played 10 matches, beat about 9 ranked opponents. Lisa and I are on the plane ride back, and I'm like, Lisa, so what do you think I'm going to be ranked after this? And she was like, well, maybe top 50. And I was in my head, I was like, wow, this is
going to be a hard work of just top 50.
I'm like, that's going to be really hard. I just beat like 9 ranked people. And that November, I get a call from Tony, and the rankings had come out. And he told me that I was number 2. So my first phone call was Lisa, and I was like, Lisa, you told me.
Yes. That's how you skyrocket up the rankings. You go to California, take care of business, and you finish number 2. You've mentioned Tony a few times, and before I let you go, because you are a coach now, can you share with us, because tennis is so unique, I know you're part of a team, but when you're playing singles, it's just one-on-one. There's no point guard, there's no offensive line, it's just you and an opponent,
Yeah.
right? So I know there's some unique relationships with players and teammates and then also the coaches. What those relationships meant to you at LSU and how they've helped you be in the position where you are now coaching at Auburn.
Yeah, definitely. I think Tony and Lisa were so good to me and my entire team. I had some really tragic things happen when I was in college. My parents passed away, and they just supported me so well through those things. And obviously just helping me mold my tennis as well, that I wanted to give back to a sport that's given, and people that have given me so much.
Well, you're certainly doing a great job, and we do wish you all the best at Auburn. But tonight, you're once again an LSU Tiger, and congratulations on your Hall of Fame.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Megan Falcon.
Congratulations, and thank you so much. Our next inductee is a women's track and field national champion. Let's hear more about the accomplishments of Danielle Mitchell.
Danielle Mitchell won NCAA titles in the women's discus in 1993 and 1994, and she captured the national title in the indoor shot put in 1993. She represented the United States at the 1995 Outdoor World Championships in Sweden and at the Collegiate World University Games in Japan. The product of Vallejo, California, was a 9-time SEC champion, and she owns the 6th most individual conference titles in LSU track and field history. Mitchell participated in a number of community service projects while studying at LSU, including the Adopt a School program, where she read books to local elementary school students. A 1995 LSU graduate, Mitchell is a member of the AP Turo Black Alumni Chapter of the LSU Alumni Association, and she is an active member in the Baton Rouge chapter of Zeta Phi Beta Sorority, serving the local community and youth affiliates. LSU welcomes Danielle Mitchell into the Athletics Hall of Fame.
And here this evening to present Danielle with her plaque is her husband, Dwayne Ruffin.
All right, absolutely. Congratulations. So it's probably appropriate that we just had Megan up here and we were talking about California.
Yes.
Because she had Louisiana ties. You're California born and bred, and from what I understand, until you came to LSU, you had never left the border of the state of California.
That is absolutely.
So what brought you to Louisiana? The humidity?
So what brought me to Louisiana? So it was about 3 weeks before LSU started school, and I got a call from one of the coaches and said, LSU wants you to come down.
Because you were set to go to another school, right?
I
You were ready
was set to go to Cal Northridge. I was
okay.
set to go to another school. And so 3 weeks before school school started, I got that phone call. I said, come on down to Baton Rouge. And, when you look at it on paper, I said, the Baton Rouge, Baton Rouge,
yes,
okay, in Louisiana. Never been out of state of California
Right.
before, but I did come down to Baton Rouge. I did.
And you walked off that plane, especially in August, and that
Let me
humidity
tell
hit you in the face, didn't
Let
it?
me tell you, when you get off the plane, you know you're in the swamp, okay?
Yeah, you're not in the California
That
mountains
is
anymore, no, indeed.
not at
so,
all.
So you've never left the state.
Never left
You
the
come to
state.
Baton Rouge. Now, I know you told me when we talked earlier in the week, you did have some friends at Southern, so you were familiar with Baton Rouge because they were up on the bluff.
Yes.
And you come down to LSU, so you're set to go to Cal Northridge. You take a visit. Was there like an aha moment where you're like, whoa, this is, obviously it did because you decided to stay, but what was the moment when you came down here that said, this is for me?
So the moment. So I walked around the campus, of course, and met a lot of the athletes from different sports. But as I walked around and saw all the plaques on the wall and all of the accolades from the track and field, I was like, wow. And so I remember on the trip home, it was like, do I want to go so far away from home? It's thousands of miles away. But I remember that aha moment was, why would I go to a school that was not number one? This is the number one. I could go to 30 or 32, but why not go to number one? And so that was my aha moment. I could go anywhere, but LSU is number one.
So you decided to come there, and certainly they were number one, and you helped contribute to them continuing to be number one. How did you grow wearing the purple and gold when you decided to stay and then became a part of that program?
So just with coming to LSU again, when you come to LSU track and field, there is a certain level of excellence, right? So you put forth your best always, and just growing with the team. The team is so diverse, and I got to meet people from everywhere, different countries, different states, of course, Louisiana, just from everywhere. And that was one of the things that I really loved about LSU, their recruiting and just how they recruited from people from all over. And so that was one of the things that stuck out at LSU.
And that's one of the things we just talked to Karen about, recruiting golfers because it's such a global sport. But maybe track and field more than any other is a global participation sport, because there are meets here in the U.S. and I know up in the Northwest, but I mean Germany and England and Australia and China, I mean there are meets all over the place, and you had the highest level of success on the global stage. So every time you did that, you were still representing in a way your days at the purple and gold. What was that experience like, being the international star?
So it was awesome. I mean, just being a part of LSU, when you walk on that field and everybody is, even though you're representing USA in some of those track meets, you still are representing LSU. We want to take off that USA sometimes. We want to show that purple and gold, right? But, and that was just one of the things that I was able to experience while being at LSU, being amongst world-class athletes. And it just will stick with me, because I don't think that I would have had that opportunity maybe if I've chosen a different school. But because I was exposed to excellence, you want to be excellent, right? And so there was a standard here at LSU.
You certainly have represented the purple and gold well. Now you got a nice ring to show everybody.
I
You
sure
keep
do.
representing eternally, right, as a member of the Hall of Fame.
Absolutely.
Congratulations.
Thank you
It's
so
our
much.
honor to celebrate you tonight.
Thank you.
Danielle Mitchell, everybody.
Thank you, Danielle. Our next inductee, like Al Coffey earlier, was a dual sport athlete, participating in both volleyball and women's basketball as an LSU Tiger. Ladies and gentlemen, Nyla Shepherd Moore.
Nyla Shepherd Moore, a product of Mobile, Alabama, led LSU to back-to-back NCAA volleyball Final Four appearances in 1990 and 1991, and 3 straight SEC titles in 1989, 1990, and 1991. A 1989 All-American, she held the LSU record for most career kills with a total of 1,735, a mark that stood for over 30 years. She was a 3-time first-team All-SEC selection, and she earned NCAA and AVCA All-South Region recognition while playing in 149 career matches. She also played for Team USA at the 1989 U.S. Olympic Festival. Shepherd Moore, a 1993 LSU accounting graduate who also played basketball for the Tigers, started the Women's Sports Initiative to sponsor girls for club volleyball and AAU basketball. All of the sponsored students went on to earn college athletic scholarships and college degrees. LSU welcomes Nyla Shepherd Moore into the Athletics Hall of Fame.
Here this evening to present Nyla with her plaque is her husband, Michael Moore.
Carla, help me get up.
Congratulations, Nyla. In high school, you played for the Dirty Dozen, so you had to be good in high school if you've got your own nickname, right? When you're playing volleyball for the Dirty Dozen.
Yes.
When you were playing in high school and you're trying to think about colleges, being a two-sport star, did your coach think volleyball was going to be your sport, or was basketball the way she told you to go?
Well, my coach, Becky Dickinson, rest in peace, she was an excellent coach. When I got to McGill, which whoever played volleyball wanted to go to McGill and play volleyball for her in the Dirty Dozen. And I remember getting there, and she's like, "Oh, do you play basketball?" I said, "No, ma'am." She said, "Well, you gonna play basketball?" And I said, "Well, I'm not very good in basketball." And she says, "Well, you're not very good at volleyball either." And so I said, "Okay." I mean, I thought I was pretty good. At least I was taller than everyone in middle school. And when I got to high school, I thought I was good, but she quickly informed me that I was not.
So you made the decision to come to LSU, and now that she's telling you to do two sports, was it the opportunity to have two sports here that got you to Baton Rouge, or what was sealing the deal to make you a Tiger coming from Mobile?
Well, I was recruited by several schools, a lot of schools, in both volleyball and basketball. And I remember it was myself, Carla Berry, who's here. Hey, Carla. And Monique Adams. All three of us came from McGill, as well as Karen, who also attended McGill. We create studs in Mobile, out of McGill. And so coming to LSU was an opportunity to play both sports. I actually wanted to play basketball more than volleyball, but I quickly realized that I was 6 feet tall, 45 pounds, playing forward against Barbara Henderson at practice, who was 6 feet tall. She seemed like she was 300 pounds. And I realized basketball probably was not my sport any longer. At least with volleyball, I was on one side of the net and no one really messed with me. So I decided to, after 1 year, say, forget basketball and let's focus on volleyball. And I had great coaches. Fran, sis is here, and Fran, hey, thank y'all for coming, are here also.
Yeah, you mentioned those names. You're making me extra smile because you know my affinity to women's basketball, being an analyst, and started my broadcast career with Sue. We were there at the same time. I missed you by 1 year.
Yes.
But I know
yes.
Carla Berry, Barbara Henderson. I remember all those names very well.
Yes.
So let's focus on your volleyball career, because for a coach who said you should do basketball because you're not any good at volleyball either, you set standards with Fran at LSU that I know to this day that program is still trying to achieve what you were able to do as a player. When you look back at your career at LSU, what stands out to you for what you were able to help the program do?
Well, Carla wrote such a great article or something on Facebook about me, and I'm always thinking to myself, I've never considered myself a great athlete, the best player on my team. I played with 3 All-Americans, Danny Race, who is here, my setter from Brazil, Monique Adams, Angie Miller. I mean, those were 3 amazing All-Americans that were on my team. But I was always the one that worked the hardest. I mean, I just wanted the ball. I never wanted to lose. I just wanted to be the best. Even though I wasn't the person that hit the ball the hardest, Danny always knew that she could give me the ball and I would do something with it. I remember one time when we were playing, I don't know if Fran, Danny, you remember, but we were playing against somebody and Scott said, "Stop setting Danny. Everybody knows who you're going to set." And Danny said, "Okay, Nyla, you ready? And I mean, I was always ready. And I mean, we did things. My freshman year, we weren't that good. But I remember Danny showed up in the gym and Scott said, hey, we have this girl that wants to practice with y'all. And she shows up and she's doing some things that I'd never seen in my life with the ball. I'm like, holy, we're about to do some major things here. Because, I mean, that was the piece. Then we had Angie Miller and Monique that showed up. And so we just took volleyball to another level at LSU. And it was just some amazing people. By the grace of God, none of us got hurt. We played hard. We were a team. We were a family. And no one was jealous of anyone. We just worked as a team. And we're still close to this day.
And that's one of the last things I wanted to ask you is you mentioned so many names. Obviously, you still have very good relationships. What's been the lasting impact from your days as a standout volleyball player that you still carry with you today?
I think that's always working hard and being a role model and never giving up. You know, I just always work hard in everything that I do. I started a nonprofit, had no idea how to do it, completed the 501c paperwork by myself, went to LSU, got an accounting degree, which wasn't easy at LSU, but I believed in myself and I always try to do that. My niece is playing volleyball here. My college roommate's daughter is here. That's my niece. She's playing volleyball. I met another young lady. Her name is Nyla. She's here. You know, just trying to be a role model for everyone and these young women and men that may not be the best on your team, but just work hard and your day will come. And a lot of times you don't see that in college sports. A lot of people want to transfer, but we stayed and we worked hard as a team and we did things at LSU that have not been done since or before.
Well, we know the program will continue to work hard to try to hit the standards that you all set, but those efforts got you into the Hall of Fame, and it's our pleasure to celebrate with you tonight. Congratulations.
All right, thank you.
Nyla Shepherd Moore, everybody.
Oh, thank you, family, for being here.
Careful on the steps. Icon is a word that we throw around a lot, but icon is a word that only applies to a very few number of people. And the next inductee being recognized with distinguished honor is the man who for decades was known as the voice of the Tigers. Ladies and gentlemen, Jim Hawthorne.
Jim Hawthorne, a native of Anacoco, Louisiana, and a 1967 Northwestern State graduate, was the radio voice of the Tigers for over 35 years as the play-by-play broadcaster for LSU football, men's basketball, and baseball. His dedication to expanding the LSU brand across the state, the region, and around the world shaped the hearts and minds of many and helped LSU establish its reputation among the elite programs in college athletics. Hawthorne broadcast nearly 400 football games, 1,500 men's basketball games, and 2,000 baseball games during his LSU career, which began in 1979 and concluded in 2016. He broadcast the first 6 of LSU's baseball national championships, the 2003 and 2007 football national championships, and men's basketball Final Fours in 1981, 1986, and 2006. Hawthorne was inducted in 2016 into the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame. He received the 2015 Chris Schenkel Award from the National Football Foundation and the 2011 Lindsey Nelson Award from the Knoxville Quarterback Club. The LSU Athletics Hall of Fame is proud to present Jim Hawthorne with a distinguished honor.
Jim? Doug. Hey, Dougie, come back. They don't need you in the booth till tomorrow, Dougie. You gotta get a picture here, brother, okay? Great, good. All right. Here to present Jim with his plaque, guess who? All-American, Hall of Famer, still the analyst on LSU radio broadcasts and the co-captain of that great broadcast crew for so many years, Doug Morrow.
Congratulations, Jim.
Thank you.
This is a pleasure for somebody in the broadcast business to get to sit with you and to see you and Doug together again. It's great to see you all there. Tell everybody how you being in northern Louisiana and a college standout in basketball who went on to be a Hall of Famer in the NBA somehow had an influence on you becoming the play-by-play guy at LSU. I know it sounds confusing, but tie this together for us.
Okay, well, as a young boy growing up in Vernon and Sabine Parish back in the 50s and 60s, Saturday night in the fall was a really, really big night in our home because my mother always tuned the radio to big 50,000 watt KWKH clear channel out of Shreveport. And we sat around the radio and listened to LSU football and the Louisiana Hayride. Sometimes both of them on the same Saturday night. Never would I ever have believed that I would grow up and perform many times on the Louisiana Hayride, become the program director at KWKH, and the voice of LSU football. So it was a dream come true.
Sure, and the player that I was referencing, Robert Parrish, because he played basketball up in the Shreveport area, and you were doing some games with him, correct? And then somehow they saw you and they got connected and said, hey, you need to come down to Baton Rouge.
Well, I was doing centenary basketball, and Robert was playing for centenary. For those of you who don't know Robert Parrish, he was a 7-footer. He, I think, has the record for having played the most games as a professional in the NBA, I think. But anyhow, here's a kind of a unique story. The centenary team was playing Houston, and we had traveled over there, went to the arena in Houston where the professional team, I can't remember what the name of it was, for Houston played there. And as we were walking out after centenary finished their practice, the Houston team was walking in, and I was standing right behind Robert and coming in the door, and they tried to get through the door at the same time, was Lou Alcindor. These two guys, and they looked at each other as they walked by, and I thought, my goodness, they have no idea how many times they're going to butt heads, in the NBA, those two big guys.
Right, seeing them at a younger age and what they were able to go on to do. You mentioned the Louisiana Hayride, and you heard in the video presentation some of the other halls of fame that he has been inducted of. What you didn't hear is that he's also a member of the class of 2019 of the Louisiana Music Hall of Fame as well.
Thank you.
And you referenced playing the Louisiana Hayride, and somehow now that ties in with a run-in with George Jones?
Yeah, okay. Wife and I
He
were
told
down.
me, he knew this was coming. You saw how he played that off, right? We knew this. Go ahead. George Jones.
Okay, wife and I were down at one of the casinos in Mississippi. I don't remember which one it was. I think it was at Biloxi. And we were up on the second level looking down on the casino floor, and my wife, Carol, she said, hey, Jimmy, come here. And I said, okay, what? She says, there's George Jones down there. And I said, well, okay. And I looked down, and there was George Jones. And I said, okay, come with me. And so we walked down the stairs, and George was trying to stand there and guard a slot machine where his wife had won a big jackpot, and she had to go get somebody to come back and pay her, and he was trying to stand there doing his best not to look like George Jones, and guard that thing. So I walked right up to him, and I said, hey, George, I'm Jim Hawthorne. You and I have a couple of things in common. And he kind of, we do? What? And I said, well, we both recorded at Big Bopper Studios in Beaumont, Texas, and we both have sung several times on the Louisiana Hayride. And he said, really? And about that time, his wife walked up. Her name was Nancy Sepulveda. She's from Louisiana, incidentally, the wife at the time. And, and she heard me say Louisiana Hayride, and she says, Louisiana, do you know Frank Page? For those of you who don't know, Frank Page is a legend in his own right. He was the MC of the Louisiana Hayride for so many years, introduced Elvis for the first time on the Louisiana Hayride. And I said, well, yeah, I sure do. He was a good friend of mine. We worked together for quite a few years. And then George said, hey, wait a minute. What did you say your name was? And I said, well, George, I'm Jim Hawthorne. He said, I know who you are. You're that guy that does LSU football on the radio. And I said, yes, I am.
Very nice. Yes, nice to be recognized like that. Before I let you go, let me ask you this, because I know everybody, when they say, oh, I'll think about this kind of stuff once I retire, and you had such a unique career. You called so many national championships for football, obviously baseball, having not one but 2 walk-offs in Omaha. Everybody remembers Warren Morris, and I was so happy and honored you let me share the booth with you. I'm writing my script of how LSU came back but got so close to lose, only to see Morris jack one out of the park, and I'm running down the stairs, sitting next to you while you're screaming. Such a great memory. And then Brad Cressy, with a walk-off. So you had so many of those calls. Not having grown up here, but moving here when I finished my college playing days at Tulsa, I only knew, like so many people, you only knew Jim Hawthorne. I mean, you were the voice. You are the one that drove so many people down that avenue of LSU sports. Now that you have stepped back, do you think about what that means with literally a generation, if not 2, that grew up with the passion of LSU fans, having experienced it through your eyes and your voice?
Well, I only know that I feel like I'm one of the luckiest guys in the world to get to do something that I've wanted to do as long as I wanted to do it, and then retire at a fairly young age. But I'm so grateful to have this support of Skip Bertman and Dale Brown and Joe Dean and Paul Maneri and all of those coaches who allowed me to be a part of their program. And so it was a dream come true for an old boy from Vernon Parish. And I'll be forever grateful to have had the opportunity.
Well, you've had a lot of inductions, and we're glad to share this one tonight into the LSU Sports Hall of Fame. Congratulations.
Thank you
Ladies and
very
gentlemen,
much.
the voice, Jim Hawthorne.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Jim. Finally, we would like to recognize a longtime member of the football staff, a mentor, a coach, an advisor, a recruiter. You'll hear about it in just a minute. Sam Nader. Sam.
Dr. Sam Nader began his LSU football career in 1975 on the staff of head coach Charles McClendon, and for 46 seasons, he influenced generations of student athletes, coaches, and staff members while establishing a legacy of service and devotion to the university. During his years in the football operations and recruiting profession, Nader made a tremendous impact upon the program through his administration of the Players' Summer Jobs Program and with his influence in the growth of LSU's Academic Center for Student Athletes. He also provided instrumental leadership at LSU's chapter of the Fellowship of Christian Athletes. A former quarterback at Auburn, Nader joined the LSU staff in 1975 as a graduate assistant. He was elevated to a full-time assistant coach in 1977 and then served as LSU's recruiting coordinator from 1980 through 1993. He assumed the role of administrative assistant for football operations in 1994, a position he held until 2000 when he was promoted to assistant athletics director. His remarkable LSU football career featured 3 national championships, 7 Southeastern Conference titles, and 32 bowl games. The LSU Athletics Hall of Fame is proud to present Dr. Sam Nader with a distinguished honor.
And here to present Coach Nader with his plaque this evening, Hall of Famer, 3-time Super Bowl champion, the cannon from Karen Crow, Kevin Falk.
All right. Congratulations. I started to think, do I need to call him doctor? Do I need to call him coach? I'm just going to call you Hall of Famer because that's appropriate for tonight. Look, I don't mean to get all personal, but this is such a neat honor because, like I said, being in the media and working with Jim is all you ever know. And then when I started covering football, all I ever knew was Sam Nader in football. I mean, you're a mainstay. You're a staple. We miss you, but I'm glad we get to share this honor together. Can you share with us your pre-LSU history, what you were doing before Tiger Town came calling and brought you to Baton Rouge?
Sure. I graduated from Byrd High School in Shreveport I went to Auburn University. I was not one of the better players on my college football team. In fact, probably the most notable thing I did at Auburn was I married a beautiful cheerleader. The first time I took Ann home to meet my family, my dad called me aside. He said, "Look, you better hurry up and marry her before she finds out she can do better." So I did. We went to Columbus, Georgia. She was a special ed teacher. I was a high school football coach. And we had some great years there. I got the itch to go back and finish my graduate work and also to try to get a taste of college football and learn the game better and that kind of thing. And so I started trying to convince Ann that we need to move.
So you leave the Plains and you head into Georgia. So who made the call to reach out to you that got you to drive back through the Plains, but to keep on coming and come down to LSU?
You know, Coach Charlie McClendon was the coach then and was really one of the top football coaches in the country at that point. And I knew I could learn a lot from he and his staff, so I came and visited with Coach Mack. That's 1975 in the spring. And he was nice enough to give me an opportunity as a graduate assistant coach. And so, you know, what I had left to do was to convince the Queen that we were going to move. So I brought Ann to Baton Rouge to kind of get to know LSU, look for a place to live, that kind of thing, later that spring. And we're driving in on I-12. I can visualize this. You know, in those days, Coach Mack was one of the best there was, but, you know, there's always some fans that aren't quite happy with whether your offense is wide open enough, right? So Coach Mack had some folks that were pushing for a new coach at that time, and they printed up these bumper stickers, and the bumper sticker said, "Help Mack Pack." Right? So we're driving in on I-12, and I see on the back of that car up there, and Ann's in the driver's seat, and I see her leaning forward and squinting. She looks over at me. She says, "What does that mean?" Nothing. You know. So we got past that. We came to Baton Rouge and moved in. First home game, we're playing A&M. They had the best team they've ever had that year, and they beat us pretty good. And after the game, Ann's telling me how miserable it was in the stands. She's sitting with the coaches' wives on the west side up there in a block, and she's telling me the language was horrible. Everybody around them was cursing. They were drinking. One of the coaches' wives almost got in a fight with a guy sitting behind us. Somebody threw a whiskey bottle out of the stands. I mean, it was just miserable. She said, you know, they're criticizing the coaches. Why do they run off tackle every play? Why don't they throw to the tight end more? Why don't they put 3 wide receivers in the game at one time? She said, I don't know if I want to go back. So we ride another minute in silence, and she looks over at me. She says, "Why don't y'all throw to the tight end more?"
Locked in.
Yeah. But anyway, we got by that, and it just had so many wonderful days.
You know, a lot of that has changed now because Tiger fans, when they're upset, they don't scream it anymore. They just tweet it. So everything's changed. They just tweet all the frustration. They all post it on social media. I was kidding. I know. They're still very vocal. Your longevity through different coaches, different camps, different philosophies, and I know you coached, and then you were recruiting, and then recruiting coordinator, and then the NCAA tried to change titles, but through it all, you survived all of that. and the contributions are endless with the thousands of people that you would help bring in to LSU. Was there any particular time or any particular moment that stands out to you when you had to make everybody's visit so personal? I mean, I know that was your goal. You want them to come feel LSU, that you want them to come here like they're home. What are the memories that stand out over all of those years and all the different staffs of still doing the same job?
You know, Victor, it's so special here. LSU is unique. We all say that, but there's more passion, there's more love of the game, there's more something here than there is other places. And you know, what a product to sell. I mean, it's just fantastic. And I remember so many of those great competitive moments that thrilled us all. We're behind Houston in '96 by 3 touchdowns in the opening game, and we were favored in that game. And Kevin Falk runs for 260 plus yards, brings us back from 3 touchdowns down, and we win in the fourth quarter. I mean, those memories flash all the time, you know, Hodson to Fuller and all those earthquake game memories. But the truth is, the most special thing of all is remembering those hot, hard, grind days with your teammates, with the coaches, with players especially. But really, when you think about it, everybody that was part of LSU football, I really ought to, if we had time, and I know we don't, I ought to call the names of every head coach, every assistant coach, every just support person from the athletic program and the football program, the university, the fans that fill the stadium, and especially the players. You know, if I could call all those names for all those years, that's really the reason I'm sitting up here, because I was on that team. That was the best team in college football. All that group collectively was given more to their program, more to their, I'm convinced this is true now, more to the Tigers than anybody else in college football. And being part of that team, that's the reason I'm sitting up here. That experience really was the reward for me. I don't deserve any more than that. I don't want any more than that. The experience has been the reward, and it's just that special to be on the team at LSU.
Well, I know, and the role you had, I know, was quote unquote behind the scenes, getting everybody there. But you most certainly deserve this honor tonight. So let me ask you as we wrap up: what was it for you when you got the phone call being told, Sam, you're going in the LSU Hall of Fame?
Well, shock is the first word that comes to mind. Verge Osprey called me, and I didn't know what to say because I really never expected something like this. And as I said, I wouldn't be sitting up here. I wouldn't have gotten that call if it hadn't been for that team of people that I got to work with.
It's so unique that you had a hand in so many players and coming into all those programs. And when you go back and look at media guides and scores, like you said, it all flashes back, and you had a big part of it. So thank you for all you did, and thank you for letting us share your night tonight. Congratulations. Sam Nader, everybody.
Sam Nader, ladies and gentlemen. Congratulations, Sam. Let's hear it for Victor Howell. Victor, congratulations. So there's really no greater honor for a former LSU student athlete, coach, or administrator than to be elected to this hall. And those in it represent the best of LSU athletics, as students, as athletes, as all-around contributors to a great university and to society after they have left those stately oaks and broad magnolias. We're really honored to recognize these accomplishments tonight. There is a reception upstairs immediately following. And at 10 o'clock tomorrow, the PMAC Legends Club at the Maravich Center, there'll be a viewing of the Wall of Fame, family, friends, and you're all invited to be there. I know we thanked some people earlier, but there are a couple more I'd like to thank by name. Leanne Westfall. Leanne, come out. She is the... Come and take a bow. All right, right here. She is the boss lady of the National L Club, and she coordinates all of this. Thank you, Leanne, and thanks for your troops over there, too. And I also want to thank Bill Franquez. Bill did the voiceovers for the videos, and Bill and Kent Lowe, who is here tonight, helped coordinate the media releases that went out on our 7 inductees, which are just remarkable histories of these men and women. So I really commend them to your attention. I want to thank you for being here tonight, and thank you for your participation and your attention. As they say in Avoyelles Parish, there's going to be a cochon delay tomorrow in Tiger Stadium. It starts at 6:07. Be there. Thank you and good night.